Welcome to Truth Be Told. I am your host, Tony Sweet. Captain Ron is on assignment, and we have a great show for you today. We have a returning guest, an internationally known spiritual teacher, cosmic guide, and author of the Tip Off Global Energy Forecast, all the way from Australia. Elizabeth Peru is with. We're going to talk about current events in 2018 and cosmic energy. We could sure use that today with everything going on in this world, and hopefully she can help us change the world for the better. Elizabeth speaks all over the world, is a well-established author, and just won the 2018 Emerging Voice Award by Kindred Spirits in the UK, and has sold out events all over the world. So please welcome to Truth Be Told, Elizabeth Peru. All right, welcome to Truth Be Told. She's back. It's only been 2 years.
Hi, Tony. Perfect timing.
It is perfect timing. We actually need someone like you that can bring some energy, positive energy to the world, because we have been, for the last, I'm not going to say 2 years, that 2 years of just energy that we haven't really dealt with before. Maybe in brief spurts, but not consistently as we are seeing today. So first of all, welcome, and I want to dive right into it. We are in the middle of another Mercury retrograde. And I didn't even know we're in a Mars retrograde. And what else do we have going on?
Well, we've at the moment we've almost got 6 planetary bodies in retrograde, so not just Mercury. And in fact, the Mercury retrograde is not so important right now as the Mars retrograde, which interestingly enough happened 2 years ago. It happens roughly every 2 years. So we're going back to the same sort of energy we experienced in 2016. And we'll talk about this, cleansing of the pond that's been happening for the last 2 years. That's the way I'd like to put it energetically as well. So let's start with the Mars retrograde. We'll get into the Mercury, and I want to talk about the eclipses as well, because we're right in the middle of eclipse season as well, which is also influencing the globe and many people. And you're right, when we raise our awareness to what's happening on a cosmic level, because that's affecting us, then we get more sense of our everyday, and then we can use the energy to our advantage. Because certainly if you just look at everything from a top level, 3D media perspective, it would seem that everything's going crazy.
Right. It seems like it. It totally seems like it.
It can, and particularly, when you live in the US. I mean, obviously, I live in Australia, and we don't get as much saturation as you guys do. But then you've really got to look beyond for what's going on a global level and on a universal level, because of the bigger picture, which is what I like to help people see all the time. The bigger picture of what's going on rather than the minute. That's why I always like looking at things globally rather than country by country.
Right.
So let's look at Mars.
Okay.
And of course, we've all seen it at night, that bright orange planet right now. It's at its closest approach to Earth right now since 2003. So that's, 15 years.
Wow. Yeah.
So again, we haven't felt this energy since 2003 either. And what I find interesting about that year is the amount of wildfires that were occurring, because I can see personally a direct correlation between Mars being so close to Earth right now and the amount of firestorms we're having on the planet.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we've had a lot. Oh my gosh, even in California, it's like huge.
Well, I had to look at some of the stats when I was preparing for today. And back in 2003, there was something like 1 million acres of land burnt. This year alone, there's been something like 4.8 million.
That's a lot of land.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of heat and a lot of energy moving.
Right.
And the Mars energy stirs us up, and it brings that fire within out of us. It's a very masculine energy as well.
Right.
Some people will use that as aggression, but the healthy way to use it is action.
Okay. But
movement.
How do we do that though? Again, the energy that we are dealing with, we don't. Sometimes we just want to hide in a hole and come out, and hopefully it's over when we come out. So how do we do that?
That's the exact opposite of what you want to be doing now.
Mm-hmm.
This is a rare opportunity. The Mars retrograde is here now. It's been here since the end of June. It's here till the end of August. It's a 2-month period, and we won't get it again now till 2020, which will also be a pivotal year for the planet.
Right.
But the last thing you want to do is hide from what challenges you right now, because you're being helped so much. You have so much support right now to face what you would normally ignore. You're going to find that when you speak up, make that call, reach out to someone, say what you need to say, do what you need to do, change what you need to change, it'll be easier than you expected, because there's this great vibration within you pushing you, encouraging you to do it. And so people are feeling that, which is maybe why they want to hide under the covers, because they're afraid perhaps of their own power to change their life. So rather than looking at everything that's wrong outside of us or being distracted by it, use the force, be responsible, and shift what needs shifting in your life. You will be surprised at how quickly it can happen if you use this rocket ship under you right now and go ahead and take action.
So this is for those entrepreneurs out there. It's when you've been talking about something for so long, and I hear this a lot from even people that want to start their own radio shows, and I hear it takes them a year, 2 years, and this is the opportunity, the great opportunity to put into action what you've wanted to do. Is that correct?
Yes, completely correct. And I know that because I'm doing it myself.
Oh, good.
Every day. I'm reaching out, I'm approaching things, I've seen situations move in my life. One in particular that's been going around for 15 years has finally almost come into completion. And I feel it's because we're so supported right now. And the maturity is rising up from within people. We do look at what's going on in the world and the negativity, and we think it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
it's
for sure.
It's so immature and childish, and the name calling and the judgment that's happening between people is ridiculous. And the soul knows that. The personality is being greatly challenged right now, our head energy. So you can either tune in to this level, or you can come down to this level, the heart, the soul level, which is very wise and mature, and it says that's ridiculous. And I'm not going to play that game anymore, and I'm going to get on with my life. Right. Because one thing I know is you can make a difference by changing your life.
But no, I was just going to ask, because when and I love that you're saying our life, because I know here in America, when we look at the political, well, not even, it goes beyond political. It just the mindsets that have been part of the generations and generations and generations, that so many people are not evolving to the next level. Or at least it seems to people like myself who, I grew up in Kansas, I moved to California, I'm in a melting pot of religions and cultures, and I love it. But then you get people that stay in the same culture, the religion, and they don't seem to evolve to the next level, at least we think in our mind. And we see it as ridiculous when they, try to hold back other people and their from lifestyles to minority groups or anything like that. So how do we? And I feel like I'm using myself as an example. How do we change that in our mindset because I think when we start thinking of them in a negative way, it affects us in reverse.
And the way I look at people that seemingly are not evolving, let's remember they are evolving, that they can't not evolve through every thought they make and every step they take every day. Right. But we are all on different levels of evolution. And a lot of the people that look to be very stuck in their ways or very dominant in religion or whatever, or politics or just in heavy energy, I always see these as young souls. These are souls that aren't used to Earth. They haven't been around the block many times, because if they had, they wouldn't be like that. They would have a lot more understanding, a lot more compassion for others, a lot more open-mindedness.
Right.
And so many people that can perhaps see others that aren't evolving at perhaps the rate they are, let that go. And what you can do is keep evolving your life to the greater level, because what that does is that snowballs and it does affect others. But if you know you're evolving and yet you get frustrated or stuck or pushed back because you think others aren't, you are not helping. You are adding to it. Be grateful that you can see it. Congratulations. Be grateful that you can see it, because those people that are stuck, they can't see it yet. It's going to take something in their life, a trigger, whatever it is, and it may not happen this lifetime for them. Right. They may need several more cycles to start to get it. But one thing I do know is that the more people do get it, you trigger the ones that don't. So you may help them have less cycles where they've got to go through pain and suffering and fear, which so many of us have to move through on this planet.
Right.
You help them. You help yourself as well, and you help them. So for me, there's no choice. Once you've woken up, you stay true to your path, and you don't get angry by other people. I mean, your head does some days.
Right.
But you remember, I'm grateful that I have woken up. I'm grateful I've woken up, and I'm going to do the best I can with my life, because I know it makes a difference. Absolutely, to the evolution of your soul, it does. And that's what you're here for. Your soul's understanding of the greatness of its potential. And then the beauty of that is that it helps all others. We must stay focused on that, because if you lose that, you will get lost into this swamp of seeming negativity, which isn't really there. It really isn't there. So let's have the louder voice, shall we? Let's have our voice, these people that have woken up, let's have our voice on the airstreams like we're doing now.
Right.
And absolutely, let's start our radio shows. Let's start our social media channels, our blogs, and that's happening. For as many people as we may seem having a negative message, we're having just as many people have an empowering one. And that's amazing. I love that. I've seen that over the last 15 years since I've been doing this work evolve incredibly. I love the way we can get our message across now, and who knows where it's going to go in the next decade. And we need to embrace that and be grateful for that. To me, it's yeah.
No, one thing you said, and it's almost the old saying, and I've heard this many times, it's like in an airplane, if there's a crisis, when the oxygen masks fall, you put yours on first, and then you can help others. And I think you're right. If we focus too much on somebody else's less evolution than we think they should, and focus on us, because I think the biggest change that we can make is through example.
Completely. Absolutely agree with you. Totally. You as a role model change everyone around you. We need, as humans, souls in human bodies, we need to see an example of someone that is living from their wisdom and their truth. Sure, we all make human mistakes and errors every day, but we get back on track. It's like we get back on the track and we keep moving. We need to see that, and we need to make sure that that's visible for people to see. And so rather than hide in a corner, this is a period of evolution on this planet where you need to be visible and heard and seen. The spoken word is going to become very, very strong. It's such a powerful vibration. And so we need the role models. And so, as I always say to people, you're the role model. You become your own role model. Lead by example.
And because everybody has their days, and I'm sure
Yes.
Elizabeth Peru has her days to where she's
Yes.
like, oh, not
Yeah.
just people, but just even your own life, and you get frustrated.
Mhm.
What does people do? Because I think a lot of people. I mean, and I'm gonna get a little serious here because look at Anthony Bourdain and
Mhm.
Kate Spade and all
Mhm.
these people that are exiting this planet. And you
Mm.
would think they had everything going for them. They had careers and things that they love to do. We were just talking about when you love what you do, you don't work a day in your life. That was what I've always heard. But yet people are still, exiting this planet at an increased rate. The drug addiction is huge. What do you think is causing that and people are supposedly living their truth, at least in public. So what is going on, and how can we correct this?
Well, there's a few things there. I wish for everyone that they knew how strong and powerful they are. When you have days that affect you, you allow it to affect you.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm having a crappy day, I acknowledge it. I'm not trying to be happy through it.
Right.
I'll acknowledge it, and then I'll adjust my activities to suit. Because then I know that within a few hours it'll shift.
Right.
And sometimes when I hear about these people that have, say, taken their life or are in such a place that they didn't wait for tomorrow, it always saddens me a little bit because I always know that tomorrow will be different. This energy will change. And this is why I always talk to people about energy. What moves through you will shift from moment to moment. How you feel right now could completely be reversed within 8 hours from now.
Right.
Dependent upon what's happening. And if we know this is a passing moment, and I've just got to experience this moment and experience what's happening through me. If I'm angry, then experience it. If I'm frustrated, well, then that's okay. Experience it. If I'm on top of the mountain, great, experience it. But no, it will shift. It will not always be the same.
Mm-hmm.
This is very important, I feel, for people because we're taught that we have to be happy, successful, always on the go, active, busy, which is rubbish. That's not true. It's not what it's like. We all are feeling everything, and we're going to have days where we're a bit depressed by the state of the world, and we'll buy into it. But then you sit back, you might go off into your bedroom and lie down or something, and then you remind yourself, it's okay. I'm here. I'm doing my best. I'm back on track. But you've got to have that core trust in you to get back on track. And this is what I love helping people with. Believe in yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Do what you know is good for you each day. If every person in this world knew how capable they are, my goodness, where we would be.
Oh my gosh, it would. Yeah, it definitely would change. It definitely would change.
It would change. And the way you know how capable you are is by being responsible for yourself, not blaming others for your state of being. You do something about it then. You change it. And I put my hand in my heart when I say this because I have to do this every day of my life.
Right.
Ever since I woke up, I realized you got to eat your words. So there's nothing you say or think that you don't have to then experience. So I'm a true believer in if you do things that are good for yourself, that are challenging for yourself, you learn how capable you are and your self-worth grows a little bit more each day. But it's an eternal process. You don't get to a point where it ends.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe. I certainly haven't. I don't believe I will. We're always growing. We're always learning. So for the souls that feel that they've had enough, give yourself a few more hours. Focus. Just put your hands over your heart and know that that energy there, that's in all of us. That will get you through everything. Just connect with that. I mean, it's so important, again, that we teach people this, of how capable they are, because they don't know it.
And
They don't know.
And I think a lot of people give so much power to others, or too much.
Yes.
I was told about a year ago, and it really kind of stood out to me, and it really realized what I say to someone. I mean, even if it's not even a criticism, at least it wasn't to me, or I was giving a feedback. In my mind, I'm giving somebody feedback, but we don't realize the words we say to other people affect them. And I was told that, what you said to me made me feel worthless. And from that point on, I did not want, but in my mind, it was just saying, I feel that you could do better, but I think it was the way I said it. So I think, what do you think on the exchange of people? Because you speak all over the world, and what you say affects people.
Totally. I hear about it every day on my Facebook page. I know the power of the word.
Right.
But I love your example, because that happens to me all the time.
Good and bad?
Usually the way you've said it is perfectly put, Tony, so you're not alone there. What we'll say sometimes when we're speaking our truth is we're coming from a place of wanting to assist somebody.
Yeah, exactly.
But they will hear it in the way that they are going to hear it.
Right.
Doesn't matter how you say it to them.
No.
You could be touchy-feely and soft and gentle. They'll still hear it the way that they perceive it. So what was it again you said to that person?
I just said, I feel that you could do better. I mean, because I see their potential. I saw their talents. I saw everything about them. After they told me that, like a year later, and I came back and I said, oh my gosh, if anybody, you shouldn't be jealous of me. I'm actually jealous of you, of your God-given talent. If I had the talent that you had, and they're like, oh, and then they heard what I was saying, but it was just like I said, it wasn't a criticism. It was just my observation.
Yeah. And what was their response again to
They said, what you said to me made me feel worthless.
Okay, right. So that person at that time didn't feel that they were as good as you.
Right.
Or they felt that they needed a lot further to go. And so and this is what we've got to teach ourselves, and I know it's not easy, but it takes practice. Mm-hmm. When somebody says something to you that pushes a button, which is great, this is how we help each other. We're always pushing buttons, right. Especially now with so many planets in retrograde. Buttons are getting pressed everywhere. But if it worries you or concerns you what they've said, this is when you need to go back to them, and don't wait a year to do it. And say, look, we had this chat the other day and you said I should be doing better, and I'll let you know, for me it made me feel like I wasn't very worthy, but what did you really mean? And then you guys would have had the chat and it would have been, oh my God, amazing, the growth, quickly.
Right.
Or you can come back to yourself and you can say, why did I feel like that?
Right.
Because soul will tell you. And soul will give you the real answer. It won't be the personality. It'll be the real answer. It'll be, well, because you don't feel worthy enough. It's nothing to do with Tony. It's all about you. Mm-hmm. And so, again, we need to take more self-responsibility. What you've said didn't make them feel bad. They did.
Exactly.
They did. And again, we need to be responsible for how we feel. And we need, I guess, people to help us talk through things. So if we can ask more questions, if somebody says something to you that you don't understand, ask for more elaboration on it.
See, I'm the total opposite. When somebody tells me I can't do something, I'm like, oh yeah, watch. I'm just totally opposite. And it's not a ego thing. Well, I guess maybe a little. I'm not gonna lie. It's probably a little bit, but it actually
motivates you.
Yeah, it motivates me more. I don't know if you ever heard of who RuPaul is.
Yeah.
Okay, so. One, I don't know if he came up with this saying, but when RuPaul said, what other people think about me is none of my business. Mm-hmm. I do love that.
There's a book about that, an old
really?
book from the 70s.
Maybe that's where
yeah. It's a brilliant book. Mm-hmm.
And what do you think about that? Because I think what other people think about me sometimes can make me better.
Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. From a top-level perspective, it's none of your business. I understand, but in the evolving state that we're in on this planet, it actually helps you. It helps you because if somebody says something that triggers you, you've got to say, well, there's still a part of me that reacts to that. Why is that? Is there some aspect of me that bought into what they said, that believes what they said?
Right.
or you get to a state where somebody says something to you, and you understand where they're coming from. You can understand how they might see you in that light, and there's nothing for you to change. You just say, oh, okay, I can see how they would see me like that, but I'm okay. So there'll be different levels of people, I guess, making their comments about you. Because I get it all the time. I'm sure you do too.
Oh,
so
good and bad.
Yeah, good and bad. So sometimes you just got to let it slide because it's not your stuff. And then other times you think, oh, but that one, that stuck with me a little bit more. So that maybe there's something there for me. So you start to love the fact that people give you comments, because most people don't even get that joy in their life of being helped by others.
Right.
Love the fact that people are critiquing you, because it is a critique to make you better. It's not a judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And then see how you can do that, use that to improve.
And I also, and what do you think about the people that believe in God or universe? I believe that the universe constantly tells us what we need to hear if we choose to listen. Mm-hmm. Meaning, it took me forever. I mean, I'm almost 50 years old now, so it took me forever. But I said, when people that don't know each other, and I hear it more than 3 times from 3 different people about myself, then I must have to change, or at least work on it.
When you hear the similar thing 3 times?
Very similar thing, yes.
Yeah, yes. Beautiful, great observation. Exactly.
So
you're right. Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of people, again, they take it as a personal hit, mm-hmm. or being mean. But I feel the universe constantly tells us what we need to hear.
Mm-hmm. You're right, and it's a maturing of the growth of the soul. Mm-hmm. So the head straight away feels attacked, the personality, it's defensive. But as I always say to people, that's the job of your personality, is to defend you. Right. It's like the gatekeeper. It's like the dog out the front of your house. It's going to bark at somebody trying to come in.
Right.
But then you get it. You understand that, okay, that was my initial reaction. Now I'm going to sit back a bit and I'm going to say, but what does that really mean for me? And now I'll let the soul teach me. I'll use my wisdom. And then you start to use people's critiquing as a way to make yourself better. And look, you don't need to go off and tell them thank you for that, although you might like to, because that would really change them.
Right, right. And I did tell one. I did tell one of the 3 that I said, you know what, that you're the 3rd person to tell me that. So thank you for, giving me that feedback. But the first 2 are like, what are you talking about? No. I fought it. I did fight it.
Yeah. Did you feel good when you'd said that to the 3rd person?
Yeah, because after the 3rd person, because the biggest one was, I'm not good with confrontation, one-on-one. I mean, I can take feedback and I can take criticism, but I'm not good with confronting other people. That's me. I'll admit it. And so 3 people said, you always make a joke when I'm trying to be serious with you. And I was like, the first one, what are you talking about? Oh, come on. I would make a joke. And then by the 3rd one, I was like, well, I guess
you're being told.
I'm being told that this is what I do. So now I just shut up and listen.
So are you making jokes now when you're in that situation, or have you changed it?
I'm not going to lie. Yes, I still do, but I try to make myself more aware of it and try to listen to the people. And I think everybody has their, childhood, what do you call it? Childhood defenses. And that's a defense. And I think, and this can go into another little segment of getting over childhood trauma. And I think, again, a lot of childhood trauma takes us into into our adulthood. And in our mind, we're like, I'm 40-some years old. Nothing from my childhood should bug me, but it does. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. From your perspective, how do we break the cycle? If we start a new family, or even just becoming adults and trying to find the genuine us.
Well, with what you just said about raising your awareness, because what we'll do if we haven't let go of that childhood reaction to life,
Right.
depending on how we were brought up, is we will attract partners, for example, in our life that bring out the same insecurity within us, and they'll trigger it for us. You may be in a confrontation, all of a sudden you're 3 years old again,
Right.
4 years old again, you clam up, you can't speak. The first thing to do is recognize it and go, oh my gosh, I'm back here again. I'm as a child. This person in front of me has brought this up for me. I mean, I should be congratulating them, although I'm not going to do that in that moment. Later I might, but then I've got to say, right, this is a moment of power for me because I can choose to do differently. So you can keep going along your old pattern and maybe walk out the door or clam up and say nothing, or you can sit there and listen and try not to defend yourself. That sometimes can be the hardest thing, and just listen to what's being said to you. You might have tears running down your cheeks and your whole body might be shaking, but that means you're changing. We're working through it. Listen to it, stand your ground, wait, and then respond. Because this happens to me constantly. I get it a lot too, and I know I'm being helped. I think the more you put your hand up to know what life's all about, the more you get challenged.
And I appreciate you saying that, because a lot of people look at you and go, oh, she's successful and she, teaches all over the world and she has books and her life is perfect. But
gosh, no.
But I appreciate you saying that, because a lot of people look up to you and they want to be you in your life, but you're like, I'm Elizabeth. I'm Elizabeth. I have my problems.
Oh, we all do. And what you'll find is when you do work like I do, more of them come up because you've put your hand up to say, I want to learn, I want to grow, I want to grow, I want to grow. So every day you've got to face your challenges, otherwise you're worthless. You can't talk, you can't walk your talk. So the more that you expel so-called wisdom, the more you have to experience it. And so I know that, and I love that because I love challenges. I love growing and learning. I love pushing myself. I'm a bit like you. If somebody says I can't do something, well, that's my motivation to do it. I mean, I love extending myself. I love it. Always have since I was a kid. But doesn't mean I'm not insecure as well, because I've certainly got my buttons pressing. I know what my triggers are.
Right.
But you work through it and you grow and you see the results when you do. You see the rewards, and then it's all worth it. But you've got to push through to see the reward, and then another one comes and another one comes, and you go, right, now I get this. This is good. This is good for me. So you start to love the challenges. You start to expect them as well. If there's no challenge, there's a problem.
It's kind of like riding a roller coaster. If you go to like a amusement park where, there's like 20 roller coasters and you're like, oh my gosh, there's no way. But then you go on it and you're screaming, you're scared. But then when you're finished, you're like, the thrill was like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm going to go on the next one. Oh my God, that's too big. I don't know. And then you go on it, and it's the cycle, and it's the game. I hate to say it as a game, but it is kind of a game with yourself.
Yeah, it's a game of it's a game you're mastering. It's a technique you're mastering.
Right.
And definitely, it can feel like we're in a bit of a labyrinth at times, and we learn from experience. Don't turn left, turn right at this juncture, and then you go, well, that's right. I did it right this time. And then a new experience comes in. You have to learn the new way around that obstacle. But it certainly is a bit of a game, and definitely you need to be strong to get through that. So, and I know not all souls are. So we're all different, but we can improve our strength and our wisdom. And of course, right now, so we've been speaking about Mars retrograde. It's the eclipse season right now too.
Yes. Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, because last weekend, I know you didn't get it in the US to see it, but the rest of the world did. And we had the longest total lunar eclipse of this century. So it was nearly 2 hours.
That's a long time.
I know. It was amazing. I was down at the beach here. I did a live Facebook about it. I mean, the moon was like red for almost 2 hours to see it. There we go. And that eclipse has reset everybody on a very, very deep level. So we were found in the days following that eclipse as well, that we felt a little tired, a little sore. Perhaps many people got colds, flus, sore muscles, and they were just quiet, still, waiting for something to come. Because, when with the earth, the moon, and the sun are in direct alignment, that is such a pull on your energy field. What's happened in the week since now is things are starting to speed up again. We're in August, and next weekend, August 11, we have another super new moon. So we've had 3 in a row, one in June, one in July, one in August, which means the moon is at its closest approach to Earth all month at the same time that it's new, so that it's a dark moon. And so that's, for me, that means super new beginnings.
Right.
June to August is the most accelerated period of 2018. So lots happening for people. This is why you must take advantage now while it's here for you. Next weekend is another solar eclipse, and then the eclipse doorway closes. So we've had this 4-week period where every single day is intense, fast-paced, bringing you a challenge. Face it, face it, face it, face it. You are going to expand incredibly if you do that now. We'll have 7 more days left. So if I can get that message across to everyone, over the next 7 days, don't leave what you know you need to look at. Do it now. Start it now. End it now. Work through it now. You're supported.
Okay, I'm gonna say that again, because there's even a lot of stuff in my life that there's some challenges, but there's also a lot of great opportunities that just came up. That I said normal retrogrades. This is not normal. So I was like, wow, these are some good opportunities, great opportunities, not just good, great opportunities to grow, financially, business, personal. So you're saying in the next 7 days, take advantage of them.
Yes. Jump on it. If it feels right, or explore it at the See, the retrograde is all about exploration and being thorough. Now, we have almost 6 planetary bodies in retrograde right now. We've got Saturn. I'll read them out so I don't forget them. Saturn, Neptune, Mars, Chiron, Pluto, and Mercury. And soon we're going to have Uranus there too, which is going to be 7. This means you're honed in. You're like a cosmic detective. You're not going to miss anything. So if you're looking at things like contracts, if you're looking at things like research, if you want to know someone's true motivations, if you want to get the clarity behind the thoroughness behind what you're looking into, now's the time to get it, because everyone's more open. Everyone's going to be more truthful, whether they know it or not. They're going to be speaking their mind a lot more. You're going to be able to ask questions that you would normally shy away from. You're going to feel more motivated to do it. So this is a period to do your research, find out, delve into what you think is good for you so that you can then make an informed choice. And you might say yes during this period, or you might say yes the week later, but you've done the work now.
Wow.
To do it, Tony.
It's just funny that, again, normal retrogrades for me has been, it's true. I had my car battery died, my window got cracked, a camera broke down, and I'm like, okay, the normal retrogrades. I mean, that was no big deal. I was just like, whatever. But then also doors open, and I've always been learned like, oh, don't sign contracts. I'm like, okay, but some of these are really good opportunities.
I always say, during Mercury retrograde, it's not that you can't sign contracts. By all means, sign them.
Make sure
for many people, it's more advantageous because what it means is that contract will stay flexible for its lifetime. Which means you might be able to get out of it. The other person might be able to get out of it. And at the very least, you might be able to change it, because we may need to change some things in our relationship with someone in a contract. So that's a good thing if you sign during a Mercury retrograde. It's powerful. Disney created there. I think it was Microsoft got incorporated under a retrograde.
Really?
So I'm sure there's stacks of big organizations that they know it keeps them fresh and it keeps them ever having to be changing. That's the beauty of it. So,
Wow.
and, you know, and when our computers die or when we drop our phone and we, you know, it feels like a inconvenience at the time and we get, you know, we swear and we get angry and
Right.
whatnot, then we get upgraded.
It's
You
what,
have to have an
yeah,
upgrade.
but that's what's funny is somebody's like, why aren't you getting upset that your window got cracked? I'm like, it's a window. I'm like,
Yeah.
why would I get, I mean, and it's true. And then I'm thinking about trading my car in for something newer. So,
Yeah, or you meet somebody at the window
yeah,
shop who's got the answer for your next step in life. I mean,
yeah,
this is what happens. The universe is hilarious, really, in
yeah.
the way it brings us stuff. And again, it's about raising your awareness and working with that energy
Mm-hmm.
as a team. Yeah. So yeah, this Mercury retrograde might seem that lots is happening at once, but there's so many other planetary influences affecting us, particularly the eclipses, and you know, looking at politics and stuff as we were talking about the
Right,
state of the US at the moment and what's been happening since Mr. Trump's been in power, because last time we spoke he wasn't.
right.
What I see with this energy is a great stirring of the global pond,
Yes.
a great stir, and he's a good stirrer, isn't he?
Oh, I think he makes the best tea I've ever made. He can
He
stir a
knows how
good,
to stir the tea.
yes, he knows how to stir the tea.
He knows how to stir the tea now. And I've often said that I feel that he's the president the US needs to have for this period of time. I can see that. He's stirred the pond. And he has, I guess, ripped the Band-Aid off of what wasn't healed for so long, and throwing salt in it too, just to make sure he really gets your attention. So if we look at him as a symbol of what he's doing for the US, is he's certainly revealing an underbelly that's always been there, but it hasn't been spoken about or it's been glossed over.
It's true.
Yeah. And so to heal a wound, you've got to clean it out at the core. You've got to get in there and you've got to find the gunk and the muck and let it rise to the surface so that it can be washed away and cleaned and healed. And that's what I feel is happening in the US. You know, I can sit back here in Australia and view it. Many of us around the world have seen these issues in the US for many years. But if you were in the US yourself, you couldn't see them. But it was so clear to everyone else of what was happening there. And now it's almost like, well, the US sees what the US is going on there, but the rest of the world's been seeing it for a long time.
And I think every time I would go overseas and they would say something, I'm like, I don't know what you're talking about. I mean, I mean, I knew like in the past presidents, you're like, oh yeah, they have their flaws, but they're like, no, this is this. And I'm like, I don't really understand. But then you would see exactly what's going on over there. And you're like, how am I not seeing it right in front of my face? It is amazing. And I agree with you. I think the United States needed to see themselves.
Yes, and I feel they haven't seen themselves. They saw a grandiose version of themselves, you know, which is USA is wonderful. We're world leaders and whatnot. That's been the energy for so many decades.
Right.
But it's changed, and they hadn't seen it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But and now they're seeing it. The other countries have shifted and have risen in their own sense of self as well. And again, from what I see, the US hadn't seen that. And I think now, and they hadn't seen what's going on in their own backyard, and now they are. And what a unexpected way to make them see it, but to bring in someone like President Trump, who makes people really look at themselves, because he draws it out. He draws a personality out of you,
Oh yeah.
and you're going to have to make a choice. Am I going to get angry or am I going to get motivated?
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree. One thing I even though sometimes it just, you know, I cringe when I hear him speak and just the way he talks about certain things. But then I have friends that they're big supporters of him and I get along with them great. And I don't look at them any differently. But then I see people on television on both sides that just are the extreme where you're like, oh, how can anybody get to that extreme? But again, they pulled the Band-Aid off. And now I'm showing the anger on both sides. You know, because go ahead, I'm sorry.
And I think it's important that we don't get We don't project our energy of anger on the person,
Mm-hmm.
because that's the easy thing to do.
Exactly,
It's easy to get angry at what he says or doesn't say,
right.
or to love it or not love it, depending on where you are at in your life. That's so easy. That's a juvenile thing to do. A mature thing to do is to say, well, what about that person is stirring me up?
Yeah.
And what can I do about that in my life? That's the mature response. And that's how I would suggest to everyone out there, if you want to do something, if it's making you feel uncomfortable, good. Use that motivation to do something that will make this world a better place, rather than getting angry, having a go at this person and then getting angry at anyone else. You look at the issues they're raising, whether they realize what they're raising or not, and do something about changing it yourself. Because, it's like the age-old thing. Religions, tell each other what's wrong with each other.
Right.
That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It doesn't get us anywhere.
No, not at all.
But if we have opposing viewpoints, that's fantastic. That's great. Now, why is that? Go within yourself and ask yourself and improve because of it, rather than trying to tell someone they're wrong because they're not you.
And I think after, remember when 9/11 happened, so many people joined the military. So many people got back together with their ex-husband, wives. So many people became so much closer to their families and friends, and became more patriotic. And I think the same thing here is happening. So more people are getting involved where they were laying dormant and didn't even want to be part of politics anymore. But now they're seeing the importance of getting involved now, and especially the younger generation.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing from outside of the US, and I find that exciting. For me, the last 12 months in particular has seen the rise of the global voice.
Yes.
Maybe more so than we've seen in hundreds of years, and I think that's very positive. It's amazing that people are finding that, and so we've got to move through this period, which will probably last decades. I imagine.
Yeah.
It's not going to be over and done with quickly.
No.
Because there's a lot of old energy to bring up and work through, and where there may be a lot of souls leaving the planet. There's a lot of babies coming in too.
Right.
They're pretty excited. I was speaking to a lady on my Facebook page just before the big lunar eclipse, and she said she worked in a maternity ward of a hospital. She said, "What's going on? There's so many babies being born this week." But they probably want to be here for the eclipse. It's a great energy to be born under. I mean, can you imagine a child that's born under the energy today, what they're going to be able to do with their life?
Oh, yeah.
The amount of, motivation there is right now.
Do you think that these younger generation or younger children being born now, especially in like a lunar eclipse, do you feel they're more enlightened?
Definitely. And they're sort of more accepting of all situations as well. They're going to have a more well-rounded world view, more of a global view. We need to be global citizens, and as I say, cosmic citizens. We can't just keep thinking of our own little neck of the woods anymore. And I've always been like that. Maybe because I live in Australia and I'm at the end of the earth, basically. I'm reaching out. I always felt that way. But I see that's the way the world needs to go. We need to see ourselves globally as one. We're all experiencing the same energy. Doesn't matter where you live. We're all experiencing the same things. And so we need to think a little bit more on expanded levels. And it really does change you. It makes things a lot easier when you do that as well. It makes you a lot more accepting of the world around you, not so cut off and closed off and angry.
Well, I can't believe time's going so fast, but before we get out of here, I want to talk just a little bit about your book, Cosmic Messengers.
Yes, I have it here, Tony. Here it is.
It's a that's one of my favorite colors, by the way. And I'm showing it up on the screen too. The universal secrets to unlocking your purpose and becoming your own life guide.
Yes.
So give us a little rundown about the book.
So I'm excited about it because I've put in here everything that I've learned about soul and the universe over the last 18 years. And a lot of what we're speaking about today, it's all in here. I talk about the personality and the soul, and how when you unite the two and you become more cosmically minded, you become what I call a cosmic messenger, someone that speaks truth on many levels at once, someone that sees a deeper picture of life, someone that is always dedicated to their own maturity, someone that's responsible for their own life. And I feel we need to be more responsible on Earth for ourselves, because that will help everyone. And I've got 2 really good reference guides in there that go through the physical, the mental, the emotional, and the spiritual changes that happen to us when we're being under planetary influences, like Mercury retrogrades and solar eclipses and new moons and full moons, and why you might be getting sore throats when you're speaking your truth. And it's really a really great handbook for someone to have for their whole life, to help remind them of who they are, encourage them, support them, and get them becoming that wise soul I know they are here to be. So yeah, I was really happy last year. I've been doing this work for 15 years now, and then Hay House contacted me last year and said, "We've heard about you. We love what you're doing. What would you like to write about?" And so I said, "Oh, thank you." So you see, doing your work, Tony, it gets recognized eventually.
Right.
And I always say to people, don't give up. If it's been 5 years and you don't feel you're where you want to be, don't give up, because it will happen when it's meant to happen. Keep going, keep going, keep going. And it can take at least 10 years for a business in particular to be successful on some sort of continuity level. So, I was really happy that they basically said, write what you need to write and share the message with the world so it's out there. And it's a great compliment to my tip-off global energy forecast, which I've been writing for 15 years this year. It's our 15-year anniversary. So
15 years. That's
15
crazy.
years. Yeah, it's awesome, of helping to enlighten the globe and become cosmically aware and use their life as a vehicle for good.
For those people that think that they can't do it, did you ever think that when you first started, like, I wasn't called to do this?
No. When I woke up, honestly, I was so bloody excited, because I had spent probably 5 or 6 years feeling that I'm not doing what I need to do in my life, even though I didn't know what that was. And knowing internally that I was here to do something that could make a difference. And I didn't care what that was, as long as I was doing it. So when I had my massive wake-up call, and it was a process over years, but basically it was New Year's Eve 1999, I remember it specifically, and I woke up the next day feeling different, watching the sunrise. I was like, wow, I'm motivated. I don't know what's coming, but I feel like I'm getting on track and I'm getting on purpose. And then within maybe a few weeks, I'd met some new friends, and they asked me to come for a psychic reading, which I'd never done at that point. And I said, well, I don't want a reading. I believe I'm the master of my destiny. And they said, no, come, it'll be fun. I said, okay, I'll come. I walked in. I spoke with the lady. We got on really well straight away. And the first thing she said to me is, what do you do? And I said, oh, well, I trained as an accountant and now I'm working. And she said, no. You do what I do. And she said, you're like me. She said, you watch, within 10 years, you'll be doing this work and you'll be very successful. And it was like bells and whistles went off. I had no idea what she was talking about, but every cell in my body jumped up with excitement, and that set me off. And off I started discovering spirit and soul and life, and so I've never doubted it since, ever. I don't doubt that force within me. I just keep going and evolving. It's exciting.
No, it's exciting, and I think a lot of us look up to you because we see that you going out and making a difference in the world, and you have, and you say good and bad, you get responses, but I guarantee you, majority of the people that respond to you have a positive energy and positive
99%.
Yeah.
99%, absolutely. It's every now and then there's a little niggle, but you've got to have that.
Yeah, I think if you don't, then you're doing something wrong.
There's a problem.
Yeah. Well, Elizabeth, thank you so much. You, as always, you blessed. Truth be told, we needed some truth, and it was told today by Elizabeth Peru. Go to her website, elizabethperu.com. In 2019, she's going to be at the Conscious Life Expo, which we go to every year, and we're excited to see her in person. Is there any other appearances or anything coming up that somebody might be able to see you at?
Yes, in the end of September, I'm going to be back in London at the Hay House I Can Do It conference, and I'll be
Nice.
giving a chat all about how needed we are on the planet right now, which is my love. I love the topic. And then as well in Melbourne, in Australia, I think it's November, I'll be at the Mind Body Spirit Expo as well. So those are a couple of other events that are happening before the end of the year.
Perfect. Well, again, I probably won't get to see you till February, but until then, I
Yeah, I
can't
look
wait
forward
to.
to it, Tony.
I can't wait to see you in person. So, but we thank everybody for tuning in today. We appreciate it. And I know I've seen on Facebook Live that a lot of people were commenting and saying this is great, because I think a lot of people need this right now. But just remember, Elizabeth said, this is not for the worst. This is for the better. And we sometimes it's hard to see ourselves in the mirror, but in the long run, it's going to be for the best. So we thank you for tuning in every week right here on Truth Be Told. We have Captain Ron on assignment. He'll be back next week. And just go to truthbetoldworldwide.com and check out all of our upcoming guests. And please follow our YouTube channel. We love to have your subscriptions and hear your comments. That's our favorite point. So, Elizabeth, thank you again once more. Until next
Thank you,
time.
Tony.
We'll
Love
see
you.
All right, love you right back. All right, and talk to you soon. Bye-bye.